Many of you that follow our channel regularly know that I have a young family, and so when I bought my 2021 Toyota Tacoma, the most common question that I got, I still get it all the time, is the Toyota Tacoma a practical family vehicle? While I've been waiting for parts to build this truck, I've been having quite a bit of fun with it in stock form. With less than 1,000 miles on it, I took it up into the snowy mountains here in Washington State. I drove it down to Mexico for some rock crawling. I've even used it as a solo camping rig in California and hauled some stuff to the dump a time or two. I bought this 2021 Toyota Tacoma specifically with the purpose of wheeling in mind. I want to be able to drive it to Moab, or I want to be able to drive it to the Rubicon, wheel it the whole week, and then drive it home and not have to worry about a truck and trailer or anything like that. So everyone says Toyota's really reliable. It's one of the reasons that I picked out a brand new Toyota. Used ones are so insane priced, it just made more sense to buy a new one. And that's how this whole build got started. Unfortunately, I'm still waiting on parts to be able to build it the way I want it to. I've got like 80% of what I need to put it on 37s. But until I get that last 20%, I'm not ripping any of the drivetrain or anything out of this truck because I've been waiting on some of this stuff for 4, 5, 6 months. So anyway, the most common question that I get out of all the videos that I've done on it, it's still just constantly, is this a practical family vehicle? The short answer is kind of. I recently took my family out on a local camping trip to see how functional this truck really is. I think this is a very practical, family-oriented vehicle test because you need to keep everyone comfortable while at the same time hauling all their gear. For most of us, the first consideration whenever we're choosing a vehicle for our family to go camping in is going to be how capable is it in terms of how much gear can it haul, because off-road capability is super important, but it almost doesn't matter if you can't fit your whole family in it and you can't fit all your gear in it. So this Toyota Tacoma can fit our entire family in it. It's very tight in there, but we can get everybody in there and we're able to do a trip in it. However, it is tight for gear. As you can see, I opted for the short bed 4-door. I think that if you have a family of 4, going any smaller than this in terms of cab is not practical at all. We are stuffed in there because of the car seats. Car seats take up so much room. And then of course, any gear that we couldn't fit in the bed, we kind of packed in between, like, you know, everybody else in America does whenever they go camping. So anyway, this looks like a ton of stuff, but it's just because it's such a small bed. It's not very wide because it's not a full-size truck, and it's not very long because I opted to get the short bed. And the reason I did that is because this is going to be a wheeler, not a camping vehicle. But for the average family of 4 in America, I would say if you're looking for something to build as a camping vehicle, I would either do a full-size truck so you have a little bit more space in the cab, or if you're going to do this and you can make your whole family fit in this cab, get the long bed so you have a little bit more room for your gear. Now we're going to be able to free up some of this gear very soon because I have a roof rack that we're going to bolt on, because just by removing this box and the one underneath it and putting it on the roof will free up so much more room in the bed. So there are options if you want to be able to still keep maximum off-road ability by not having that super long wheelbase of the long bed, and while at the same time making it to where you can haul a lot of gear, or you can do a bed rack and stack a bunch of stuff on top of that. So there are options out there. But as you can see, you put a fridge in there, you put a few boxes. We've got a tent that's big enough for the whole family, and it fills up real quick. This truck's small size didn't hold us back from having a great trip, but does that make it practical? I don't think so. I think for a little adventure that's only a couple hours from home, this is completely doable. But for cross country, no way. And for those of you who are watching and you're thinking dads today are big wussies, you're not wrong. For another layer of perspective on this topic, when I was a kid, we traveled across Europe in a 1981 Datsun King Cab that we called Dan the Diesel. It was this little diesel Datsun pickup truck. And, you know, my folks were in the military. They were both Air Force. And we were stationed in Berlin, we were stationed in Greece, and we traveled to the neighboring countries all the time. And we would camp out of this little Datsun pickup truck. So when I think of what it's like now to have this Toyota and to have these moments where I'm like, this thing is small and cramped, I just need to remind myself that I grew up in something so much smaller. just staring at my brother. It was like two seats that flop down towards each other in the back of this Datsun King cab, and we're just going down the road just looking at each other. And I got to see Europe out of the back of a Datsun pickup truck. I mean, we went to Switzerland, and we went to France, and we went to Turkey. We went to all these different places, all out of a tiny pickup truck. So it's worth mentioning something like this in a conversation like this, that even though many of you would agree with me, this is a small truck by today's standards, but if my mom and dad knew that one day their son would be sitting here calling that a small truck, they would think it's crazy. They would be over the moon excited to have a truck like this when we were doing when we were putting on all those road miles throughout Europe and throughout Greece. The reality is, over time, your perspective changes, and that's because of the market or because of the size of the average American family or whatever. Our perspective is skewed because our main tow rig that we've had for the last 5 or 6 years is a Dodge Mega Cab, and it has a giant interior. The back seats recline, and you can comfortably sit 6 adults inside of this truck. It is basically a van with a pickup bed that can tow a whole lot of weight. So on one hand, this Toyota is amazing in its size for a small pickup truck, but on the other hand, when you put it up against all the current competition out there, this truck just has kind of a hard time competing in today's market in terms of size. All right, Mrs. Pickle, come on over. This is my wife, folks. I decided to bring her on in this video because I think that when we're talking about a family vehicle, I can't just have it all be my perspective. I want to bring in my wife and bring in the mom's perspective, the wife's perspective. You know, she's the other half of the household or the people that run it anyway, depending on who you talk to. And I wanted to bring her in and talk to her about whether or not she thinks, is the Toyota Tacoma a realistic family truck? Something that you can use to daily drive, to get groceries, to go camping, and all the other stuff that you would use a truck for.
Yeah. So I think it is. I mean, we've used it to go camping, to Mount Rainier. I've used it to drive around town to get groceries. I feel like it can be, but having a family that's 2 kids in car seats, one rear facing, it's cramped inside. It's
cramped. The front seats are slid way forward.
Yeah, both driver and passenger seats have to be all the way forward to have 2 kids in the back seat and car seats. So I think it's just kind of cramped, but it definitely does work. It got us to all these places, and it is nice, but
I think that it fits us really well. I don't know who this truck's for. I say this all the time, honestly, because if you look at the competition today, you look at how big just a half-ton Dodge Ram is, or a half-ton, well, I guess the Toyota Tundra is probably half-ton, right? F-150, Silverado. They're all, like, you can get them cheaper than this truck, and they're all bigger than this truck, and they have a bigger payload than this truck, and more towing capacity and all that stuff. For us, this is practical because its main mission is going to be wheeler for me, because it's a smaller bodied vehicle, but its B mission would be a backup vehicle for our family if I'm working on one of our other vehicles.
Yeah.
So it works well for us in that regard. But I think that for this being if this was our only truck, there's no way I would buy a Toyota Tacoma.
Yeah, I don't think if this was like your only family vehicle that I would recommend it.
Yeah, I didn't think you would.
It's just too small.
It is. It's just simply too small for that. But it was fun on our weekend excursions.
It was.
And going up to Rainier was great. The thing handled really well. The mileage actually wasn't as bad. It's funny. I got worse mileage driving by myself down to Mexico than I did whenever we've been on our trips as a family with stuff in the bed. I think it's just the temperatures outside. It was just when it's colder, I notice vehicles get a little bit worse mileage. But anyway, complete sidebar. So is this a practical family vehicle? I'd say sort of. I think that it can be. If you're any bigger than us, I'm 6'1", about 220. If you're any bigger than that and you have a kid in a car seat behind you, this is not the one.
You won't fit. No.
You won't fit. Yeah, I'm about as like big as you could be and still be able to fit in there with a kid in a car seat.
Yeah.
But I do like the truck. I think we both like the truck.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
No.
There's a few things that I would change. I wish we would have got leather and stuff, but
yeah. Oh, definitely. If you have family, you have to have leather.
You have to have leather so you can wipe the stuff off that your kids put everywhere. But anyway, so that is going to be the end of the video. I want to put a little bow on this thing. Did I even mention that we're getting a Gladiator?
No.
We are getting a Gladiator. As you can see, we're a Jeep family. We do love Jeeps. But we love it all. I told her one day when we get rid of this Toyota, I want to get another Toyota. I just want to we like a little bit of everything. But we're getting her a diesel Gladiator because it's just so practical in so many different ways. So For those of you that are Toyota fans and you think that I'm just being very Jeep biased, wait till you see the Jeep version of this, because we're going to, after we have the Gladiator for a few months and we go use it, I want to do this exact same video and give a completely honest review of what it's like to own one of those too for a family. It's going to be a great comparison. 2021 Gladiator, 2021 Tacoma. A lot of people compare these two, and I'm going to actually own both.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be able to have a pretty unique perspective. So anyway, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for coming out here with me. I don't drag her out here very often. She doesn't like being on camera, but she did great. If you want to help support the channel, you go to thedirtlifestyle.com. We have t-shirts, hats, neck gaiters, all that stuff. If you want to follow me on social media, I'm at Dirt Lifestyle Nate. We will see you next time.